Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the seventh entry into our series working with Kaspersky Unified Monitoring and Analysis Platform. In this particular entry, we are going to talk about specifically connecting the SQL databases as a data source, which is based on the Kaspersky Security Center SQL database. So, as an example, we consider retrieving events from the Kaspersky Security Center server database tables, which in different solutions can be used as a Kaspersky Security Center server database management system. We will need to connect to Microsoft SQL database. The first thing to check is network availability from the collector server to the actual database server. Since the database is Microsoft SQL, we check the availability of the server on port 1433. And in our scenario, the port is currently available. To connect to the database server, multiple resources must be configured at the same time. The collector that will process events from the database uses a custom connector as a transport, and in this case, the connector consists of one or more queries to the actual database servers. Now, in this case, the database server connection string is the URL. In addition to the server address and the name of the database, it may contain the user's logon or login and password, so the URL is a secret. After this, let's see how this works in a combination. Now, in this scenario, we are using the all-in-one or out-of-the-box kind of configuration, and the out-of-box or OOTB KSC MSSQL connection resource is an example of a URL for connecting to a KSC database server based on Microsoft SQL. Because the connection strings to each server are different, you need to create your own secret for each and every database and each and every server. So we will go ahead and create a duplicate secret and call it, let's say, ksc.example.com. Now, in this case, we're going to copy the example URL from the description. The name of the server and the database in this example matches that of the connected server, so I only need to provide the relevant username and secret password. Moving to the connector, there are several connectors to various databases that is available to our users and customers that's out of the box or OOTB. We are interested in the KSC MSSQL connector. So this is, of course, Microsoft SQL. There are two queries configured in the connector, but because this resource comes as a package, it cannot be edited. This is done to ensure that during updates and new versions of resources, we do not override settings changed by users specifically. We will create a duplicate of the connector and edit the new connector. Let's call it Demo KSC Microsoft SQL. Right. There are ID-based and time-based database tables. So there are two queries in the example demonstrating both options. The first query is made to the ID-based table and the second one to the time-based table. A variable placeholder must be included in the queries themselves, and they are different for different database management systems. For examples of placeholders can be found in the documentation. When querying the database, the data from the ID column and ID initial value fields are inserted into the query instead of placeholders. So, external ID is an alias for the NID column of the v underscore AK pub underscore host table in the Kaspersky antivirus database. So, on the first connection, a query is executed with condition where ev.nld is greater than 0, for example. In the second example, we query events whose info update column has a timestamp after 0, 100 hours on January 1, 2023, for example. After receiving events from the database, the collector remembers the position up to which it read data. And the next time it connects to the database, it will not read events starting from the 1st of January 2023. After getting an idea of the sample queries and parameters, it is necessary to link the actual URL from the previously created secret to these queries. So we select the ksc.example.com secret as the URL and we save that particular connector. Now you're ready to create the collector itself. So we go ahead and we add a new collector, which we will also call demo KSC Microsoft SQL. As a transport, we use our connector with SQL queries. And as a parser, we choose the KSC from SQL normalizer, which is also included inside of this package. The normalizer has a branch structure of extra normalizers, of course, and in this case, I don't plan to do filtering, aggregation, and enrichment of events, so we can skip straight to the event stream routing section. We add our storage destinations and correlator. At the final stage of the collector creation wizard, we copy the command to install the necessary microservice. From here, we go ahead and we execute the service installation command in the SSH console of the collector server itself. Now the service is installed. We go back to the web console and in the section resources, active services, we check that the microservice has started correctly. The system kernel checks the availability of services, of course, every 15 seconds. We see that the service started correctly approximately 10 seconds ago, and now we can have a look at the events that the collector received from the SQL database of the KSC server. So the collector now has connected to the SQL server, it has executed the necessary queries there, and it has gone ahead and received the events. We have parsed them and mapped them to the Kuma event schema. As usual, ladies and gentlemen, this is the conclusion of our 7th entry into our series of Kaspersky Unified Monitoring and Analysis platform. Hopefully this particular video has been insightful and has helped you to understand a little bit better of the capabilities that's available with the solution, and hope to see you in the next one. Thank you and goodbye.